Hello everyone, it's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Wake in the building. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good to see you.
I'm fine. I don't have this today.
Find something. You're looking amazing, by
as usual.
Yeah. You're very consistent with me.
Adire, yeah.
You're very
consistent. I'm going home a lot now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I go home, I find my Adire. Because I actually prefer Adire.
But it's like silk, but this is silk.
It's like the satin. And it's not
they have this
expensive.
one. They have these ones there.
Okay. You know, my birthday is coming, so the theme is Adire.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
Is the color blue?
It's either going to be blue and yellow or purple and yellow.
Okay.
Okay. Fantastic, Waiki. I'm looking forward to it.
So it has to be very, COVID.
If you want to shut down Lagos, Waiki is going to be 60.
Lagos, are you shutting?
We are shutting down Lagos, please.
Are you putting money down?
If you would like to don't worry, Waiki, is it not us? Waiki, don't underestimate your view. Please, if you'd like to participate in this matter, please hook me up. We are shutting down Lagos for Waiki.
Amen.
60 years old. It's not a yoke.
60.
It's not a yoke, man.
Oh my goodness. I will now officially be old.
Yeah, no,
you're not old though.
60 is the baby of old age.
Yeah.
That is you have entered officially into old age. Yeah. 50, you can still enter youth. But when you are 60, there's nothing youth about you again. You are
officially
don't cross over.
Senior citizen.
Senior citizen.
Age is nothing but a number. How do you feel from within? How do you feel?
All the bones are talking to me. Ankle, knee, wrist. I drank some hot tea the other day. The thing burnt my
your palate.
Not my esophagus, the upper palate, yeah.
The roof of your mouth.
The roof, yes, thank you. So all those things, you feel that the fingers are not doing the work that they used to do.
Okay, you'll be all right.
I can still shake bum.
Just try nothing. I was going to say that we should reduce your dancing, but I guess they're not going to reduce your
dancing. Is good for
so at 70, okay, I got today, take it easy.
And I still wear my high shoes.
Yeah. So you're going to continue that till after 60?
You know, I
want to try till 70.
YK, you know what? This makeup does a great disservice to YK. When I went to drop off something for you in Lekki, and I saw you in your short skirt, your hot legs, beautiful legs, your fresh face, I'm like, gosh.
Does she wear makeup?
You need to see YK without makeup. And you need to just see, even without the trouser. I mean, you need to wear short skirts more.
No, you don't like it. You look amazing.
You mean you don't know how you look without makeup? You actually think you look horrible?
Oh, no, don't mind YK. YK, don't worry.
He's interested.
I'm not. I'm serious.
I'm
YK,
sad.
you look amazing.
YK, I'm sad that you don't know how gorgeous and how fresh face and how
let's move on to BC. We'll come back to you. We're in your case, don't worry. How are you doing, BC?
I'm doing great. So I was trending yesterday.
Yes, you trended though. BC shut down social media.
For all the wrong reasons, not for the wrong reasons, right? Because I was wondering how best do I, say what I really want to say. You asked for my opinion, and I gave my opinion. It's not like it was law. And I started by saying that from my place. So it was, I personalized the opinion that I gave.
BC, you don't have to, we don't owe anything explanation because the truth is, we have turned good to bad, bad to good. Listen, what you said is like, I want to have a child that has sense. The truth is, when we're growing up, we're raised to say, they told us don't get pregnant out of wedlock. And society has told us that even if you do, you can still have a life. Yeah, you can. So nobody's saying you cannot. Yes, you have it, but it doesn't mean that getting pregnant because of or get out of wedlock is still the right thing. If it happens, you can still have a life, but it's still, what is wrong is wrong. Don't give it a new name because, we can still, a person who does that can still have a normal life.
Isn't she married to?
No, she's not.
Oh, they're not married.
No, there was introduction. That wasn't the issue.
That wasn't even my point. Like, it's her life. She's an adult, so she can choose whatever she wants, which is okay. But when they ask you to give your opinion, you give your opinion based on how you feel about the situation. It doesn't matter.
I think that it's okay to give your opinion, and when you give it, you move on.
Yeah.
Simple. Everybody else can talk. that is their own prerogative.
Yeah.
They are commentators. They are meant to comment. You are an opinion giver. They are commenters giver. So everybody is playing their role. Just move on.
Yeah.
I mean, you did not say anything bad.
Well,
you gave people who understand,
Yeah.
will pick the good, will take the good advice and live with it.
Well, give me a digit, so they're not married.
Okay, we'll send you the details.
I thought they were married.
Let's go on a break. But listen, until
I haven't greeted Mariana.
Oh, sorry. How you doing,
I'm
Mariam?
fine. I'm happy with everybody. We're good. But
My point is, until what's not good is not good.
What is
Simple.
not good?
We'll go on a break.
You want to try?
I know the trend. I'm like, let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, let's start with the Nation Inspector General. I will battle banditry, kidnapping, and secessionists. Doctors unmoved by payment of arrears as strike continues. Community lynches returnee Owerri inmate. 6 million arms in circulation, says Abdul Salami. Police begin search for missing Olu of Warri crowns. Kogi State begins vaccination. Nigeria's others' debts being reconciled with creditors, says World Bank. And South using restructuring agitation to bargain, say Northern elders. All right, let's start with each story. The major headline, please.
yes, so our new acting IGP, Usman Alkali Baba, was decorated, properly handed over from the outgoing IGP to him. And his words during his speech, really, what he emphasized on was community policing, and he says that he will do his best given our present challenges, and that in a short time he has to do his job in order to confront banditry, kidnapping, all these secessionist agitations, and all organized crime. He also elaborated on the need for everyone to be involved in policing, and he said the community policing that has just started off with the outgoing IGP, it was at the theoretical stage, and he's going to carry it on, you know, and practice it. I don't like using the word practicalize. I don't know if it's right. Anyway, and then
what they said in the book.
yes, and then he said. Then, of course, the vice president was one of the people who decorated him and also charged him to also build bridges.
I have a few
trust.
fantastic. I was going to read out a few of his quotes, which I thought was really profound. Want to go ahead?
Okay. You can read the quote if you want.
He said, under your leadership, the police must now rebuild, he just said, in some ways, the broken bridges of trust to the public and regain confidence. He said that you must stamp out the excesses and abuses. And the culture of impunity demonstrated by some elements of force. So we know that those elements of the force always have to, they've always subjugated Nigerian citizens, and it's important that our president directed him. Yeah,
just one more thing. The governor of Osun State, Governor Oyetola, just to add to that, also was just talking about this community policing. He says, yes, it's welcome, it's good at everybody, but policing is still, it's still controlled from the center. And because of that, it's making all the issues hard. Policing is inadequate, there's underfunding and so many things. So governors need to be given the right to do, given the power to have regional, state policing, as it were, you know, to help.
Okay, moving on.
To add to that as well, they are denying that the former IGP was in
Imo State.
Imo State. They say he was actually sitting at his desk
when he got the news.
When he got the news.
Okay, good to know. Moving on, let's talk about the lynched man. Who has that story?
I have the story, but I wanted to go with
which one?
The
police being
the Olu of Warri Palace in.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So there's you know, we've had issues with what's been happening in the Olu of Warri's palace. They had tried to they had actually instated the son who had come to as the 21st Olu of Warri, and they're supposed to be having his coronation in July. There's been controversy about that. Now, the two crowns that are supposed to be used to crown him, and likely the queen, are missing. So yes, this crown is 410-year-old. 10 years old, yes. And it's, you know, it's done with a lot of silver and gold. And they are saying, yes, so there's a dilemma on how they are going to crown the king if they do not find the crown. So the police is strictly involved. It's been moved from the area command to the IG of the police, and they are, doing whatever it is to ensure that they find the crowd.
must be involved.
Yeah, so they have
how did it get missing?
That's the question.
That's another issue.
Oracle now.
Okay, we need to move on, unfortunately.
Because the former Olu had died.
Yes.
But they say he hasn't died.
In December, yes.
From that time to this time, they have had time to move.
We have to move on. The Punch. Afenifere Ohaneze tackle ACF Forum says attacks on Northerners provocative. 50 armed herdsmen arrested. NSCDC alleges banditry, kidnapping, and others. Osun shot hunter dies. Chinese minors abductors demand 10 million naira. Flu. Over 376,000 birds killed in Kano, Plateau, and Niger. Petrol, right pricing, VAT hike to increase government revenue, says Dangote. Okay, and I think that's it. Which are we going to take? I was going to take the major headline. Go ahead.
The flu story, the
bird flu.
376,695 birds have been killed or were killed in Kano and Plateau and some other states. They have the flu. From the story, I couldn't gather whether they were actually killed or they just died. Some I think died, but in Kano they killed them because they already had the flu. And
it had, according to them, they said it affected 7 states, and they're trying as much as possible not to allow it to go. Affect other states.
Other states. That's why they, like in Kano, they killed them so that they will not spread it. So I Googled it, and it's actually transferable to humans.
Oh. Actually, to the story yesterday, they spoke about how it can move from the birds
to humans.
And
to
the humans.
And yes,
it's fatal in humans.
We need to be careful.
All right, there was a meeting yesterday. Let's move on to another story.
Yes, Osun State Police confirmed the death of a hunter. So there was a mining site in a village near Iferewa in Osun State that was, attacked by gunmen, and they kidnapped 2 Chinese expatriates. Now, while they were doing that, they gunned down a hunter. The police had confirmed that the hunter is dead. Investigations are still ongoing. The kidnappers are requesting for 10 million to be able to release these expatriates. Yes, so they're still talking. The Chinese expatriates. They're still negotiating.
All right. Yeah. Did you have a story?
Yes. Okay. About. Reported about 50 armed herdsmen have been arrested in Nigeria just in 1 week. And most of these herdsmen were said to own arms, illegally. And that they're alleging also that most of them use them for kidnapping, all forms of banditry, and most of them were arrested in places like Ekiti, Borno State, and Cross River State.
Right.
And NSCDC is just saying that they're working hard to ensure that they bring security and sanity back to our country, and also asking, again, I think is what we hear across board, asking for collaboration amongst all security agencies, everybody to be involved in one way or the other in order to quell this.
All right. I was going to take this major headline because Afenifere Ohaneze tackled the area of consultative forum. The story is in 2 parts. So the first part is that somebody from the, I think was the Arewa Consultative Forum, somebody had said that the fact that Southerners are killing Northerners is provocative. Now, Afenifere had responded saying that what is provocative is a nepotistic way of appointment. So don't bring provocation into this. That these are issues happening where the Northerners are killing the headsmen are killing farmers in the South. On the other hand, Professor Ango Abdullahi also said at that same event that the North would not vote along ethnic and religious lines because they've actually voted for MKO in the past. They had voted for Jonathan. They had voted for Obasanjo in the past. And yes, I think they've learned from this current administration that it's not about ethnic or religious lines. That it's important we have to find who is competent to lead the nation. And he's speaking that the North at this time would only vote for competent people who have the interest of the nation at heart, not just based on religious and ethnic lines. All right, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll move on to Daily Sun. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going on to Daily Sun. 2023, North won't vote along religious lines. I talked about that already. We know politicians behind Imo attacks, says Uzodimma. Osinbajo gives new IGP marching orders. We mentioned that. 6 million illegal weapons in circulation in Nigeria, says Abdulsalami. 35 people escaped death as fuel tanker smashes 10 vehicles in Onitsha. Ondo Varsity lecturer found dead in car. And stop poaching our governors, PDP tells APC. Okay. Who has the Uzodima?
Yes.
Yeah,
They put a gun to their head.
It's not about poaching.
Should be poaching a bit.
Governors should have it. Yeah,
Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has said that the recent attacks on police headquarters and the state correctional centers are being carried out to fight against APC government, and it's not just at the federal level, it's also at the state level, that they are not happy with the fact that the president is trying to better the lives of his citizens. He also went further to say that he knows where these people actually meet to have this plot, and he's going to call them out. He's sent their names to respective security agencies, and they will be fished out. He's working hand in hand to ensure that insecurity does not, continue to happen in the state. I am happy that he has made this known. He has told us he knows them, and he has sent their names to the security agencies. Fine, but we want to know finally when they release the names of the people. We want to be able to follow up as citizens to see that if proper investigation is carried out and prosecutions are done, so that we are sure that you're putting your money where your mouth is. That's just what we're asking.
This is the third time that the governor is saying, I know
different governors.
Unable to say it.
Yeah. But because there are allegations, you can't prove it. So let the police go and do the work.
The proper investigation.
Once you now know for a fact, because if you say I know, and then you're wrong, you can't sell you for libel. Sure. Okay, so let me just...
Yes, I've got another story. The former head of state, General Abdulsalam Abubakar, he's the chairman, as we know, of National Peace Committee, and recently there was a stakeholders dialogue and meeting, and he was just talking about how, expressed his shock about how much we have weapons just all over, not just in our sub-region, but in Nigeria in general. And there's an estimated about 6 million of these weapons out there owned by people that are not meant to be carrying them. And then he says this illegal weapons everywhere has led to about 80,000 deaths and caused about 3 million internally displaced persons. And he says that the thing about our insecurity is not just as it affects us militarily, it's affecting everything else. The banditry, the kidnapping, is causing hunger because the farmer headers clashes is stopping people from getting to the farms. So this thing is affecting us on different levels, and everyone has to be on board when it comes to security. Clearly, this shows where we are right now when it comes to security in our country. Everyone is talking about it. Every meeting, every dialogue, every committee, we're talking about what the way forward is. And so he has added his voice as well as all the other stakeholders.
Okay, we have to run. Who has the story of the tanker? Well, thank God that I'm happy nobody died. 35 vehicles were smashed, but nobody died. Okay, moving on to Daily Trust. 80,000 killed, 3 million displaced, says Abdulsalami. You just talked about that story. Pensioners threaten to shut down airports over pay. Resident doctors' strike takes toll on patients. FG to acting IGP, restore public confidence and end police excesses. 82 prisoners return to Owerri Custodial Center. Africa needs 20 million jobs yearly to tackle vices, says Elumelu. When Elumelu speaks, we should listen. I'll come to that. But go ahead. Which story do we have?
I had the prisoners.
Yes.
So first of all, a man who escaped from the correctional center in Imo State on Monday was set ablaze by the community because he went back to. Okay, so first of all, he was in prison because he, attempted a kidnap, or he carried out a kidnap, and that was why the reason he was in prison. Now, people who testified against him immediately was released. He went to one of their houses and threatened to kill them.
Right.
So while he was doing that, people raised an alarm. The mob came and they set him ablaze. So the investigations are also ongoing on that. But 40 inmates have voluntarily returned to the prisons. 35 or 36 refused to go out in the first place. So they have about 80-something inmates in the prison now. They had made a pronouncement that if you come in, you will not be, they'll give you a sort of amnesty. You will not be, fined or, accused of jailbreak. So they are still expecting more prisoners to come back into the prison.
Okay. My own question on this is, Shebi, they said they burnt the prison. Where are they keeping them?
Maybe they want the whole thing down. Maybe the other parts of it are still, but some parts of it. We saw the pictures. Some parts of it
They will be very congested. It will be very
so when
tight
inmates
for them
go back
now.
like this, I am sure that there's some sort of incentive given to them. Maybe they get reduced sentences or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was Arabia Shaga that mentioned that. All right, so pensioners are threatening to shut down the ports. They've given the management till May 4th, 2021 to resolve the matter with them to all face a nationwide protest. Now, that will be heartbreaking because we have the health sector striking, we have the judiciary striking, we have the education striking, and now the pensioners want to shut down the airports over lack of pay. Interestingly, in a related story, we read that they actually paid about 1,000 health workers. That's the health sector. Minister in
doctors are saying that's not everybody now. That's not everybody. And you people, we keep on agreeing, then you don't
follow up on the agreements. Yes.
Follow up on the agreements. So, and there's still the COVID allowance. And you know the hazard allowance that they're not doing.
So it's like a thanks but no thanks. Yeah. So we're going to go back to striking until we are sure that you've actually paid everybody. Well, hopefully but the government said they paid the legal and the illegal health workers. So there are also other issues that are entwined. As in, there are people that are there that are not supposed to be there. So I mean, I don't even understand.
So it's their duty now to fish out the
ghost workers.
But they've asked them to. They've said that they are investigating the illegal workers. The government has said they're going to do that.
Okay, moving on now to Vanguard. Insecurity governors disagree on need for regional outfits. All right, let me share that story. Where mayhem, we discussed how villagers decry bombing of Ehime Mbano police station. Apapa gridlock, police, Lasma, others pass buck over conspiracy to scuttle e-collab system. Alakija drops out of the 2021 Forbes billionaire list. Emergence of Olu designates Emiko well-deserved, says Tinubu. And in security, 80,000 Nigerians have died, 6 million illegal ammunition in circulation, says Abdul Salami. Which story, major headline?
So, yes, please. The governor of Delta State just responded to what Governor Oyetola said, which Miriam had established, saying that we really do not need a regional security outfit because there are certain things under the Constitution when we actually have that. When we have that, they are not able to, the federal government cannot equip them to carry the same sort of guns that these hoodlums and bandits carry, and so they cannot even properly defend themselves. That what we should work towards is ensuring that the central policing system is well equipped to handle the issues that they face. And he's saying that, well, the negotiations for whether we are going to have a South-South regional security outfit or not is with the Brest Commission. They are the ones who are going to be negotiating, and they are going to look through all the protocols to see if it's something they can do or not.
Honestly, this conversation on security,
going back and
forth, I think it's more about trying to mask a region or state inability to secure, because I'd rather say federal government come and do it, or please, it's your responsibility. But if a state or a region have been able to build the capacity, that you're using your security fund well, you have been able to build enough capacity, you will be asking for yes, let me
this thing started from the 60s when the military defunded the police so they could do their coups and police could not intervene. So the government didn't have, the civilian government didn't have any power because the police were defunded. Now the police over the years has been defunded. So they don't have, they're not paid well, their retirement benefits are bad. So it's not everybody that wants to go into the police.
Yes,
you never go into the army because you know you get a good package. Now, we are now the ones suffering for it because everyone keeps saying, I know people will disagree with me, everybody keeps saying, oh, they want everybody should have his own police force. Why not equip this present police force first? When you take somebody from Kano and you bring him to Lagos, he doesn't know the terrain. And you tell him to come and be police in
but
in
even
Lagos.
if he comes, YK, there's still a part of local intelligence that's important. So, yes, you're right, equip them. But even if I equip you, come with all the equipment, you can't come down south if you don't know down south. So there's still that element of local intelligence that is required. That is why regional policing is
Stop bringing the policeman from Kano to to the east or to Lagos. Localize them.
Yes.
Use the police people who are from this area here.
That is where restructuring comes in. We need to change the law because the law we have right now, states that we have to have that central. So we're calling our National Assembly, please. We have to amend these laws to reflect these things we're saying. We can't keep doing because that's what I learned from the Southwest. I mean, I live from the Southwest. The wanted Amotekun. They didn't just go and say, okay, let's do Amotekun. They went straight to the House of Assembly. You go by the law and fix it, and then you do it. You don't just wake up and say, what's for liquor police? We're just making lip service. Yes, Mariam.
I learned recently about this community policing, we're talking about regional policing. Someone I watched on TV said we need to be careful that we're saying community policing, not ethnic policing. So if someone who is from Kano State has always lived in Lagos, he would know it better than a Lagosian that always lived in Delta State. So it has to be those who are here, not based on where what their ethnicity is. So we need to be careful about that as well.
And you see, the reason for this, don't let each state, because they will now start using police to be fighting their battles, when they are political battles. Those
are the fears the people have always stated. But you know what? I'd rather, if we let us even have it first. Because I don't want to go with those fears and then the funded police force that we have here. You cannot go forward. You use police to carry bag. Politicians' wives. Yes, so I saw them. You use somebody opened a beauty store. And she came down from her jeep, and I saw two policemen.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Can you imagine? But the reason the policeman will do it is because he's being paid well to do it. So he has to feed his family.
Number one problem,
you don't give them enough to run.
We have to run. It's not our hot topic today. I know we like to discuss it, but I think leadership is not really our number one problem. Our number one problem is that political will. Nobody just wants to do it. You don't have the will to do the right thing. Let's go on the break with right.
Mindset.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So today's Thursday. We'd like to talk about life issues. And first, today we're going to be discussing the issue of sexual assault and violence, which cannot be overemphasized. So on the show today, to commemorate Sexual Assault Awareness Month, which is this month, our guest will educate us on awareness, understanding, and prevention policies. Joining us now is a multidisciplinary legal practitioner and gender equality advocate. We have with us Omoumi Ogunrotimi. Good morning, Omoumi. Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Good morning.
Are you okay? You're not smiling. You look like the Thursday's already kind of hard on you.
Could it be the topic?
So good to have you on the show. Let's talk about the issue of sexual harassment. We want to discuss gender equity today because our focus really is on sexuality. The fact that in Nigeria, a lot of young girls have complained several times of being harassed. And unfortunately, they're asked to suck it up and move on. Now, as an advocate of this issue, what have you done or what do you think can be done to continually educate Nigerians on how to respect gender accordingly?
Thank you very much for that question. I'm happy to be here, and I'm particularly excited about the fact that, a show is actually dedicated to talking about issues of sexual assault, more so that, this month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So as an individual, as a Nigerian citizen, and of course, as, a development practitioner, at an individual level, a lot of programs, activities, advocacy are going on to create awareness about sexual assault. But you'd also see that the prevalence of sexual assault today can be attributed to a plethora of factors, such as legal factors, social factor. You then have also economic factors. So when you look at social factor, for example, it's important that we address the cultural norms and practices that continue to subjugate women. And of course, you talk about the patriarchy factor, you know, where women are continually subjugated, and of course, advanced, what's it called, male superiority. And when you also look at legal factors, you realize that in Nigeria, we do not have a unified legal framework. And that is why advocacy has to be sustained. It has to be continuous towards ensuring that, you know, policies are implemented, of course, and our laws too are implemented. There is always a place of political will, which is lacking most times. For example, we are all aware of the most revolutionary piece of legislation on sexual violence, which is the VAP Act, which of course took into account that even the boy child can also be raped. And when you look at this piece of legislation, you'd realize that we have only 19 states in Nigeria that's domesticated it. Yes, I mean, kudos to the states that have domesticated it. We really need to commend them. But for the remaining 17 states, if we see sexual assault as a violation of fundamental human rights, this means that this act of parliament should be adopted across board, which means that regardless of your sex, your gender, you know, it means you're entitled to be protected against every form of sexual and gender-based violence. And also, you know, when you look at Nigeria the way it is, of course, we keep leading campaigns, raising awareness. It makes sense to raise awareness, but I think this is also only effective to the extent that we're raising people's consciousness to those issues. Right. It is important that as we're making laws, we are also able to influence the attitudes and behaviors of people to conform, you know, with the existing legal and policy framework.
Right. Yes, ma'am. So there's this culture of silence around the issues of sexual violence. Because of the way the society is and because of the fear of stigmatization, people are advised to keep quiet, do not speak out. How do you think as a people that we can encourage, you know, victims to come out, speak out, and follow through? So for some people who even come out and say something, once they get a backlash, they recline and we don't see anything anymore, or the family advises you to take the case away to protect your sanity. How do we ensure that, you know, perpetrators actually are punished?
So I think it's about giving life to our laws, you know, but I talked about the social factor, which of course speaks to the repressive culture of silence, where, you know, we stigmatize, we blame victims, you know, and then we stigmatize victims. I could recall vividly that, you know, several years back, as if I was, you know, a victim of sexual abuse, I'm a survivor, and I could recall vividly that, you know, there was this silence engulfing it, because also people are worried that the moment people realize that you're raped, they begin to blame you. You know, the questions that come to mind are, you know, what was she wearing, where was she at the time it happened? And that's why we are also making sure that we deconstruct the norms that advances narrative around indecent dressing as a justification for people to be raped. But most importantly, you know, there is this there's a growing body of research that suggests that when people report more, it will definitely deter perpetrators. But people can't report when they don't have confidence in the system. And when people report more, of course, it's an evidence that they now have confidence in the system. And if we're talking about systemic, you know, issues, of course, it's the whole gamut of the system, looking at the criminal justice administrative system, looking at social services, you know, also looking at basically integrated services accessible to the victim. So in Nigeria, for example, we have very few states, and I think Ekiti State is one of those states where, you know, we see that survivors are speaking out the more, also because the environment is enabling. People are becoming more aware. We have the Survivors Fund, where in Ekiti State, where, you know, when victims of abuse come forward, they provide them with some form of, you know, financial support, basically to get them rehabilitated. So we really need to do a lot from, yes, raising more awareness, from also, you know, giving life to our legal framework. Nigeria has an avalanche of legal framework. However, you know, recent spike, you know, has also shown that, as you know, shown the powerful nexus between, you know, implementing these laws and also raising awareness. So we need to continuously raise this awareness for people to understand that there are sanctions to this. And of course, we also need to speak to our leadership. How do you measure, or what standard do you use to measure a leadership that has zero tolerance for sexual assault? It starts from a leadership that takes complaints seriously, a leadership that sanctions perpetrators, and a leadership that ensures that victims are protected from every form of reprisal.
Right, okay.
Yeah, among me, you know, sometimes when we talk about this topic, there are two parts of it that I find many people are sensitive about talking about. That's provocation and prevention, where some people will say, well, you have to do this to prevent yourself from being sexually harassed, abused, or assaulted. And other people are saying, why do I have to specifically make myself in such a way that I have to prevent it? It does not fall on me. And as you mentioned, the provocation part, where people are blamed for the way they dress, where they've been, who they are with. How do you have this conversation in order to pass a message about prevention and also about provocation for those who need to prevent themselves, for those who need to, who use the excuse of being provoked to do this?
So, sexual assault is never the fault of the victim or the survivor. I think we really need to, you know, reach a consensus on that. So when we understand that sexual assault is never the fault of the survivor, what this means is that prevention of sexual harassment becomes a shared responsibility. And I'll give an example. So in environment of learning, for example, sexual harassment has recently assumed critical dimensions. But we also realize that one thing that makes that to thrive is the fact that as young people, we have a lot of young people, students on campus that are perpetrators, that are victims, and at the same time, they could be active, proactive bystanders. So when you leverage on the environment to, you know, empower friends, other young people to be proactive bystanders, you'd realize that prevention of sexual assault or sexual harassment becomes a shared responsibility. Everyone knows that they have a duty to prevent, to protect, and also to mobilize their peers, their community for a lot of, you know, development efforts, particularly in terms of breaking the repressive culture of silence.
Well, I'm going to wrap up with you very shortly, but let me pick your brain a bit on this, because I've seen that we have to sometimes customize solutions based on our society. And we've seen, you and I know, we're Nigerians, that just like you said, the judiciary, we need to give life to the laws, but are there other ways? Can we get the monarchs involved, the community leaders? Can we empower them such that they can carry out this investigation and then sanction or prosecute offenders? Are there ways we can link people's properties to these things? You know, are there ways we can even make the community realize how important this thing is, such that we don't wait for the laws? We find the community solution, where even if the sexual offender happens in my local government right now, I can report him to the Bale, and the Bale, he can be sanctioned, and then his family or whoever takes responsibility for his action. Can that be done?
Of course, that can be done, but a lot of awareness needs to be done. We need to continue sensitizing people and also desensitizing people on a lot of myths that continue to, you know, enable the culture of silence and also make violence to thrive. So, you know, community actors have a really critical role to play. And of course, socializing agents, the school, the church, the mosque, you know, our traditional rulers. But for example, when you look at the school environment, in a situation where, you know, several patterns of violence have been normalized and people just see that, oh, even sexual harassment has become the norm, such that when it happens, they are not able to fit it into, you know, an act of sexual harassment. When people grow in such environments and they, you know, now get integrated into the larger community and they see patterns of this nature happen, they would not speak about it because these are also things that they have normalized. So we need to, you know, interrogate some of the systems, some of these practices, and also work with critical stakeholders, community leaders, churches, mosques, and most importantly, we need to engage boys and men as allies, as partners, not as potential perpetrators, because that could be counterproductive.
We also have a culture, aside from the culture of silence, we have a culture of minding our business. So you see that your neighbor is being abused and you turn the other way. Now, a lot of people do that because they do not want to be, put themselves out in front or, present themselves as the enemy of that person. So they just, after all, it's none of my business. Is there any way or is there any platform or any plans on how people can actually report these cases anonymously? Is there anything like that?
So I think also that we need to look across board to really understand that, there are context-specific solutions. So in environments where there is the political will, systems are in place, grievance redressal mechanisms are in place and are optimally functional. You'd see the people would come forward to speak. People would report on behalf of other people. I think 2 years ago, we had this research conducted in environment of learning and even in rural communities. And we realized that most people that we interacted with knew someone who had been sexually molested. But the concept of diffusion of responsibility, where people see that something is happening, but they see that another person is watching and they expect that the other person watching will take responsibility. It sets in, and what this does is people keep quiet about this, and it enables the culture of violence the more. So, but in environments where there are systems, reporting systems, people can come forward, people can report on behalf of people, and of course, this will be taken up seriously. Right. Environments of such, you'd see that would have proactive bystanders and not reactive bystanders. People who look from afar or who watch closely, and they kind of identify, patterns of violence, even though it's not, it's not fully blown. Right. They report to the authority, but like I said again, people need to build confidence in the system.
All right, let me
pause have a leadership.
Let me pause you for a while, Mommy. Let me go on a quick break. We'll continue this conversation with you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have with us Omomi. Waike had a question for the break. Go ahead, please, Waike.
Yeah, in other parts of the world, sexual harassment is something as simple as just look at a woman. The governor of New York is being investigated now because he looked at his secretary in one way or his assistant in one way, and he asked her a question. Do you think that Nigeria will ever get to that level? Because if you look at me, I cannot call it sexual harassment. If somebody says in America, you look beautiful today, it's sexual harassment. So do you think Nigeria will can ever be like that? For me, I like them telling me I'm beautiful, shall I can't lie.
Allow me, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So there's a difference between, passing compliments and also putting forward advances, sexual advances that, of course, is unwelcome to the recipient. And I think also that our courts have been faced, with the Herculean task of, determining such cases. Sexual harassment, of course, there are two patterns of sexual harassment, the quid pro quo and then the hostile work environment. And with the quid pro quo is this for that, which most times a lot of people have evidence for. But the most important thing also for us is to advocate for a system where we have a comprehensive policy or legal framework on sexual harassment. It might interest you to know that none of our policies or none of our legal framework explicitly define sexual harassment, rule out patterns of sexual harassment. The Lagos State criminal law actually provides for sexual harassment, but it's just a section that defines what sexual harassment is and of course criminalizes it and says if you're found guilty, you'll be liable to 3 years imprisonment. But within the workspace, within environment of learning, we do not have a comprehensive legal framework. Recently, I think that was in 2019, the National Assembly revisited the anti-sexual harassment bill. It was passed by the Senate, awaiting the concurrence of the House of Reps and then subsequently the presidential assent. But to say that, that bill was met with a lot of resistance within the space. So, but at an individual level and at an organizational level, a lot of NGOs are doing a lot to advocate for comprehensive policy. At the moment, we're currently working with other organizations, to ensure that institutions of learning have a comprehensive sexual harassment policy. And of course, a reporting system that would encourage people to report with the highest degree of confidentiality and also report anonymously. And to also ensure the cases are effectively managed. Because like I did say earlier, when the system demonstrates the political will, victims will be more than willing to come forward, and this will definitely deter perpetrators, and also will be able to reduce repeat offenders by 60%. I mean, there are several bodies of research that actually suggest that. So with that, of course, the anti-sexual harassment bill to rules are patterns of sexual harassment to categorize groping, bullying, kissing, hugging, and all of that. But in cases where somebody exposes you to pornography or passes comments of sexual nature, how do you prove that? And I think with time, our legal system too would also evolve to accommodate some of these things, put in place comprehensive laws that would address sexual harassment in the workplace and in environment of learning. All right,
Amaomu, we have to wrap up, but I think you really come across as knowledgeable in this subject, and I think Nigerians would like to reach out to you somehow to help them. There's somebody right now undergoing sexual harassment and she'll need help. Where can they find you? What's your NGO about, and how do we reach you?
Yeah, so yes, we're on Twitter as Gender Mobile Initiative. We're on Instagram too, and of course, if you need to send us an email, you could reach out to us on info@gendermobile.org. And to also say that, in the coming days, we're going to be launching a mobile app for confidential reporting tagged Campus Pal. So you can also, get in touch with us through that handle on Twitter, Campus Pal, where environment of learning can report cases anonymously and also, with the, highest level of confidentiality.
Fantastic. Gender Mobile, it is then. Thank you so much, Amami. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, the book titled Aisha Buhari, Been Different, and written by Dr. Hajo Sani at the Conference Center State House, Abuja. The national leader of the All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be chairing this gathering. Now, Aisha, had a few weeks after the 2015 presidential election, revealed that it was Tinubu that convinced her to join the presidential campaign at the time. The First Lady was absent at Buhari's campaign rallies until January 13, 2015, when she was unveiled as at the APC rally at the MK Abiola Stadium in Abeokuta, capital of Ogun State. Specifically, she said, "It was my personal decision not to come out for campaign because I needed to take care of my family and the home front." However, while her husband was in the field, she said Asiwaju talked her into coming out to join the campaign, and it's for this reason he's chairing her book launch today at the conference center in Abuja. We'll be linking up to that in a moment, and you can watch us on GOTV, and I think we'll continue on Ofcom channel and Sky, and then we're going to continue online on Facebook. For those of you on the cable station, we're likely to be linking up to Abuja to watch the book launch at this time. Now, moving on to our regular Thursday topic. We need to teach each other life issues. So today we're asking our viewers a little bit about jealousy. How healthy is jealousy required? How healthy can you be? How healthy is jealousy in relationship? Do you need to be a bit jealous? Or is there a thin line between jealousy and obsession? We've seen stories, and there was a story that came to us where a young lady who had a male colleague in the office who brings her to work every day. He lives close by her house, So he drops her, he picks her up and drops her at home in the evenings. But then the husband started getting worried over this continuous relationship where this man is always picking her up. Not only that, in the car, they meet in the office and they're probably buddies. Now, the woman obviously did not show any sign of interest, but the fact that he's always there, and the man began to think, I didn't like this. So he confronted her, and she made him feel, okay, there's nothing wrong with just a colleague. But after a while, the man, getting uncomfortable, accosted her accosted the man and started blaming them and accusing the man of making his wife cheat on him and all that. So initially it was cute because the woman liked the fact that her husband was concerned. But after a while, he started becoming obsessive. Like, uncle, there's nothing going on. So my question therefore is there a role as a woman you should play in making your husband feel comfortable with a male partner, a male colleague who's close to you? Or should the responsibility be wholly on the man to understand and respect and trust the partner who he has married? That, okay, I'm sure my wife, nothing is going to happen. How do we have this conversation? Right, let me start with you.
I'll direct that question back to you. Imagine a woman.
Right.
Your husband and her are working in the same office. And every day, he picks her up or she picks him up. Oh, darling, you don't have car. Oh, no, sorry, friend,
yes.
You don't have a car. I'll come, especially I'll pick you up. You, the wife, you are looking. Today, tomorrow, the next day. After 1 month, you will not talk to yourself or your brain.
What's going on here?
I don't like this.
Interestingly, this has happened exactly to me. I think I've shared the story. There's a lady, I won't mention her name, but my husband used to give her a ride. Till tomorrow. My husband said, you stop my relationship with this person. You stop my friendship with this person. If not, I would have been there for her because the girl was now going through some issues. And she needed, and my friend wasn't feeling bad. If you had allowed me to be this person's friend, I would have clinical. And I'm like, who's which person's friend? But I realized that the person, every time, was giving her a ride. After I was saying, uncle, must you give this guy a ride? Right. Didn't you have a way to get to this place before you came around? But I get that. But at the same time, let us also have that sense of trust, don't you think, of our spouses? If my husband should tell me, Mariah, I have nothing to do with this, shouldn't I trust and believe my spouse? Should
I think you should. So I think a little bit of jealousy is healthy in every relationship. Even God says, I am a jealous God. So that means that there's good in being a little jealous. It shows that you really love this person, you appreciate this person, you want to be with this person, you do not want any other person to come in between the both of you. So I think a little bit of jealousy is okay. But the problem is when it now borders on obsession. So there are people who, because they are in a relationship with you, they won't even allow you make friends, they won't allow your family, it's as bad as your family members coming close to you, they just shield you off from the world. That is when you are going to know that this is way off curve. But if it's a little jealousy, okay, you have friends. Now, what I do in my relationship, most especially, or what I advise people to do is, if you're not comfortable with this relationship your partner is having with another person, you have a conversation with your partner. I'm really not comfortable about this person. There's a vibe I'm getting that you may not see, because the truth is, especially for men, when somebody is liking them, they don't see it. There's a way they put their face very straightforward. They don't see. You, the woman, you've noticed that somebody is like this person. The way she smiles when my husband talks, the way this person is definitely liking my husband. But the man will say, no, you're too jealous. It's nothing. But you see it. So let me give you this perfect scenario. There was a young lady that was liking my husband at some point. They worked together, and I think it was one of my birthdays. She came to visit. I'd been suspecting, but my husband wasn't saying it. And no, my husband knows me as a jealous woman. Like, you're too jealous. Your problem, jealousy. You're too jealous. Then my mother-in-law came. My mother-in-law walked in and saw everybody, greeted and all of that. And she called me to the kitchen. And I was like, hey, Mommy, what did you say? Who is that girl? I was like, she's your son's friend. He said she should not come here again. She's looking for something. I was like, I said it.
She noticed, she observed.
Immediately. So I dragged my husband to the kitchen. I said, let Mommy tell you what she just saw. So, but if it's now the type of jealousy.
Men don't see these things.
I don't know. I don't know why.
Don't blame men alone. Even women. If a man likes you,
you don't see.
It's your partner that will see that one. You will not see it.
Like a receipt. When we might pretend not to see it, but we know.
So could it be that the men are pretending not to see it?
No. Listen. Abi?
Could it be?
Because if you're saying you see it, then, and your husband is saying he doesn't see it, then he's pretending. No. Because, look, I have relationships, male relationships, that have nothing to do with. But I can suspect that maybe the man fancies me. But I'm not. because I'm not feeling like that to the man, it's not important to me, so I do not see it. So I will not see it, and if my partner should say, that guy likes you, come, what are you saying? My partner is the kind of person that will just say,
okay, that's you.
Just, I go, since you don't want to see.
Some people see
I want to give you, I had a relationship with this person. Before my partner, I was in a relationship with someone, and I had a male best friend. And that my relationship at that time used to say, which kind of best friend you get?
We be man.
We be man. I was saying, what's wrong with that? And everything. But when my partner and I started, and he said he didn't like best friend, I talked to myself. Who can be your best friend apart from your husband?
That's so sweet.
But it's true. How are you having best friend with the opposite sex?
So
which best friend is that? Is it the best friend that you are going to end up in bed one day?
No. You see, YK, let's not even take it to the friendship part. This was just somebody giving her a lift.
Yes.
She's just a colleague in the office. They sit together. Yes, they could be fond of each other. But what is wrong in he?
Is it Jesus Christ? The kindest person in the world? No, I don't understand though. Me, I don't accept though. Don't give me lift.
As open-minded as I like to think I am, I think for me to be a problem, if it's consistent. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to say, Uncle, I will pay you your money for your Uber this week. You know, I will break it. And I feel that also if the other person on the other side too has any sensitivity, she would not be so, she would not be so consistent in coming to pick my husband up all the time. Because she must enjoy the journey to work. They must vibe.
Yeah, there's a conversation.
What are you vibing with outside me? Yes.
Which kind best friend is that?
Exactly.
With the opposite
so I can
sex.
get it like, oh, she does it. I get that they can do it like once in a while. He's running late and she just happened. But to be consistently, it will bring up questions. But I think that when we have a conversation about it, and if it's in ways that we're trying to save some coins, you know, in that case, I can understand why it happens. But I think in every relationship, even with regular friendship, you have a friend, Mariah. If I say I'm talking to BC a little too much, I'm like, what's happening? Why is it becoming also chummy? I think it's natural. I think it's just a natural human instinct, human survival thing. But then you have the conversation, you trust each other, and you hope that that trust is not betrayed.
But so in my own case, for example, I mean, that person that was saying, because of my own personality, I probably wouldn't have really raised an eyebrow because the person kind of kojad the person's eye. In the sense that there was a time that my husband was driving Kojai, meaning that what's Kojai?
Pass our boundary.
Pass our boundary.
Oh my goodness.
So my husband was in the driver's seat. I was in the passenger seat. Yeah. So the girl came on this side. They wound up. My husband was wearing an Ankara, I think, or something. No, it was an Ankara. So she was not. My husband, this Ankara is so fine. Okay, when are you going to buy my own?
What?
In my very presence. She
greet you.
She didn't even greet me. So she was greeting my husband. She didn't just skipped me to greet my husband. This Ankara is fine. No, I didn't buy my own. I'm thinking, what is going on? It was then and I was like, I'm saying like, it's time for us to stop this daily carrying. Because it was really getting so, but the truth is that our personalities are different. Yeah. There's some women that are like me that you actually don't even see anything. You just feel as if it is okay. But you've not answered my question. Should the responsibility be solely on the man, knowing that, listen, my job is to trust, or be on the woman, trust? Or should we not even give it any space at all? Should we be suspicious all the time? That's the question.
You can say that you should trust me.
Yeah.
But my insecurities will not let me trust you. You should understand me to know that I have these insecurities. It could have been how I was brought up. It could have been my background. It could have been what happened in my former relationship. But the insecurities are there. And I am saying, I am suspecting this person. I do not think she's genuine. I think she wants to come in between us. I think she likes you. And you're saying, no, don't you trust me? It's not about you. I may trust you, but I don't trust that other person. So what happens when I don't trust that other person? You should give me
So your advice to that girl,
respect.
Go ahead, Mariam.
You should give me that respect enough to understand that I do not trust this other person. It's not about you now, but I'm just not comfortable with what is happening. And respect me enough to cut it.
I will find that a bit too controlling for me.
Right.
They are your insecurities, they are valid, but work on your insecurities. I don't want to have to carry my issues and then your own insecurities.
But it's your spouse now.
I understand. I'm my husband. I get it, my husband. But also we're individuals and we come with our flaws and our strengths and our everything. But then there are some things about you that I cannot take and add to myself. If every time I step out of the house, I have to watch who I speak with, everyone I speak with, where I go, just because my wife's or my husband's insecurities are going to flare up. I won't be able to live like that. I feel that the person is quite controlling of everything. I would hope that my partner will be in that space where they understand that, first, this may just be my insecurities, and I trust our relationship enough that, nobody would pass their boundaries. That's how I would prefer. That's how I would prefer to live my life.
That's how I my husband. Can you take your husband having a female best friend?
Yeah. You can have a female best friend. That would not stop me from asking my questions. You get. So my own is I would.
that best friend can.
A female best friend.
Also, the colleague at work. The one that even you, YK, you are
best friend.
You are like around the same.
Let me go again.
Female best friend.
When we start going out together.
Female best friend. I'm just emphasizing it.
I knew her husband before I knew her. I now say because
every weekend now you come and take him out.
Let's go.
Yes, so.
I mean, by the time it's 1 month.
Female best friend. I'm emphasizing it too.
Won't you ask questions? Because you don't know where
you don't know the house of man.
The human mind will just
go fiam.
Because the brain doesn't know husband and wife.
I'm telling
it's
you,
not to feed it that the brain interprets.
Just
feeding them with the excess. Let's go and break it right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we are still yet to deal with the issue of obsession. So we understand you not bringing friends or close to your family and all those things. But in this situation where a man, you have a driver, he's obsessively compulsive over how the driver is making passes at you. You have a house girl in the house. You are worried if your husband is looking at your house girl. These are obsessions that is triggered by just an association with other people. So therefore, where do we draw the line from jealousy and obsession? We've not really addressed that.
Yeah, so when it becomes an obsession, it becomes unhealthy and toxic. Now, as a human being, you know what works for your mental health. So you understand that, okay, this is a little bit of jealousy. Okay, I can always talk to him and say, don't worry now, don't be afraid. This is just a normal relationship. But when the man now says, I don't want you hanging out with this person, I'm suspecting the driver is looking at you this way, you cannot have a male trainer to train you, you cannot have this, you cannot have that, you know that it has gone beyond the normal jealousy and you need to seek help. So it's either you people decide to go to a therapist, because it's not what you say now. This is beyond insecurity. This is something that has gone wrong in some part of the brain of this man who sees everybody as a potential threat. Right. So it's not you that will solve it by word of mouth or trying to explain, because at some point it leads to physical abuse. So if he tells you, I don't want you hanging out with this person, and you hang out with that person, you will collect blow, you will collect slap. So you need to seek help at that point. Obsession is just not...
I used to have an evil boyfriend. You know, Igbo men, they are...
Possessive?
They can be possessive, but they know how to look after, they will make sure that you don't want for anything.
Yeah, okay.
So I had this Igbo boyfriend. So I was young, I was in my early 20s. And then he would come, I'm at the shrine, we are dancing. I wasn't, my brother didn't have a band, it was my father's band. And he would come, he would say, then one day I saw this friend of mine and he hugged me. Hi, can you come? So then I went to my ex. Undu, how now? Can you come? Who was that guy holding you by the waist? I said, who was that guy holding you by the waist? I said, Undu, I beg you. What are you talking about?
Calling his name, that's the word you do.
I said, who was that guy holding you by the waist? I will slap you now. I said,
Slap you.
That was the end of the relationship. because I could not, because the guy that he just came, he's an old friend. Anyhow now, so I didn't take it.
That wasn't healthy.
That was not healthy.
That wasn't healthy.
But that's what I'm saying is that ended the relationship. But the guy was a nice guy.
Okay, so
when it comes to looking at
but I say I'm so happy that they have both made my point. And sometimes, you know, when we talk about insecurities, when we talk about from our own point of view, we think, no, it's healthy, we are protecting our territory. But when you say it about someone else, you see the insecurities. So when you say everybody should have their insecurities valid, at what point is it too much? If every time your husband goes out, he has to be careful who he called the last time, who he was with the last time. You know, it stems from what you call valid insecurities. So it is important that you understand that about yourself.
Obsession.
You are the way. It starts from somewhere. It does not lay on top of your head.
Sorry?
If you are obsessive, you are obsessive.
Obsessive, yes.
So you will not hide. You will not be able to hide.
That's
it.
a mental
Even
issue.
as boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes.
You will not be able to hide it.
You won't even start small. That's who you are. From the first relationship, you say it.
From
you make
when
it
you
known.
start going out like this, it will ask you who the guy was holding you by the waist.
Who carried the bag? Who did it from the beginning? You know.
No.
So you know. So there's a difference. So it's not as thin as we're thinking. That's what you're saying.
No,
but however,
I'm saying that it's buildable. That's what I'm saying.
you can build it. But I think we're also adults. We're also adults to know. We know when these things are going past healthy. We know when the fact that, okay, yeah, so you have somebody picking me up every single day to work. And then you're asking, and I keep telling you, there's nothing. He's just my colleague. In fact, he works in finance, I work in HR, by 2 different departments. Or even if you work in the same both of us work in HR, his suspicion is that you see each other too much. And he tells you, I'm not comfortable that you're together, you're having like a 1-hour trip to the island, to the office. That's a conversation, two of you. Then you're in the office again, you're together. For me, I feel that a relationship is building here, and it worries me. That's a healthy conversation.
Yeah, it is.
But is a healthy
it's a girl, if the woman that says, okay, you see that your spouse or your partner does not like it, out of respect, I'll take Uber. That's where I want the conversation to end. How do you deal with it? Because there are some men that feel that, but would you call that obsessive, where you are constantly asking, who is this guy? Or would you say a woman who is not even reacting properly, responding to this situation?
Who is that guy carrying my wife every time? No, I will not accept it. If I'm a man,
I will not take it.
Me, Mariah, my question would be now, the way to handle that. So would it make a difference if you sort of joined the ride once or twice and realized that there was nothing?
Hey, you know how it works.
I'm asking a question. Yeah. It's either when we have these problems, we don't have this problem just so that we talk about it and rant about it and just leave it. We're talking about it so that we can move on. Let's just say we're talking about people who this is helping them, maybe financially they cannot get that, so that help is needed to take you to work, and this has become a problem. Would it be that you get to know? Would you say you get to know that person better?
Yeah.
So that you feel more comfortable.
Friends,
so it becomes a family.
That's a solution.
Friendship.
Yes.
All that. See, we will take.
Let me take this call.
We will take on this extra charge on ourselves, and we don't want to have any.
Let me come to Debbie. Debbie, are you still there? She's been holding for a while.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, thanks for holding. Go ahead, please. You're live.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a first-time caller.
First-time caller.
And so this talk on your colleague dropping you off, I had that experience. And it ran for a few years. I don't see anything wrong in this. I think this life should not be that hard. So for instance, I won't give the exact location. So let's say I live in Abule Egba, and this colleague, we live in Abule Egba together, and then we work on the island. And it doesn't drop me up in the morning, but in the evenings, it brings me back from work home. And it's not like he comes to drop me in front of my gate. It drops me somewhere that I can walk home. I think my husband appreciates it, and I think his wife, this colleague's wife doesn't have a problem with that as well. So I think we should be able to trust one another. There's a lot of relief to have someone bring me in the evening, in the midst of all that Lagos traffic, back to work in the evening. Sometimes I don't get home until about 8. So you can imagine me having to be in downfall, around that period. So I think to be able to trust ourselves, and I appreciate this colleague,
Thank you very much. Thank you, Debbie. So I think I like the solution Mariam provided. So this guy that is always taking his work, bring him home. Let us have lunch together. Let him become family friends. Know his own wife if he has a wife. If not, so your husband himself will be able to deduce if he's okay.
Let me help you.
Okay.
Please help me. I want to know.
Do you remember one video that was trending on social media where the man's best friend was sleeping with his wife?
Bagan.
So the man, if this person has interest in your wife,
Yes.
Exactly.
and your husband, and you bring them in, okay, let's be best friends.
Easier.
Easier,
Very easy.
But that's not what
Oh, that's what we're saying.
I'm saying, listen, I'm saying, if you need lift to the office, look for same sex, and go with same sex.
In our new world, if that's your insecurity, then that would be an added insecurity.
That means you're obsessive. What I'm saying is, every day for 1 year, 365 how many ever days, because 365 is plus weekend. Every day you are taking this person to work. You are working with the person. You are bringing the person back home from work.
You know, talking about
one day you will not know when the brain will reset, and you start to look at the person as a handsome person, even if it's ugly.
Okay, no, okay.
He will stop and buy you food.
Let me get business comment here.
Let's break it down first. There are different situations and different scenarios, and there are no absolutes.
Yeah.
You always pick what works for you per situation. Now, if you have the idea of marriage, first of all, or relationship, is to become companions, to be able to share with the other person. So I have a very bad day at work and I go home and the first person I want to talk to is my guy. And I gist with my guy. It becomes a problem when I have another guy who is either a best friend or a colleague, where instead of reaching out to my guy to give my gist, I give it to the other person. That's where it becomes a problem. And it could start with being in close proximity all the time. It starts very innocently. It's not like anybody plans to cheat when they get into a relationship. That happens. That's on one side. Then there's also another angle where you understand, you are not complaining about every other person you see around, every female you see around your husband. That's not your problem. Your problem is this particular person. Something I'm seeing in her eyes.
So good. Why can't
I do not
trust?
So you take away the obsession where you are obsessive, where it's about every other sex.
That's obsession.
Obsession. But if it's in 15 people, your husband has 15 female friends around, but you now spot one person and say, the way this person is looking.
So now, therefore, so I like to merge what you said and what you said your mother-in-law had said at that time, where you now bring this person home. So me, that you saying to me, I'm jealous before saying, okay, let's have a gathering. You have independent people, and people are upset. Let them see for themselves. Let your even husband see for himself. Be sure that am I comfortable with this guy. When your husband immediately says, this guy came around and there was something about it. He was laughing too much. I think I'm not comfortable.
Now you have separated it, because that's what I'm saying. You cannot on everybody that you meet, because if it's not the one that takes you to work, it's the one that you are at work with. Do you understand? So you cannot be obsessive, insecure like that.
I'm a man.
But I understand energies, I understand chemistry, I understand vibes. I get
you
that.
Do understand
Sometimes it's not even the person that comes and picks you every day. It's the one that when you pass a particular gate waves you a little wave, small wave, and then the partner picks up the person. What is that about? So you're not obsessed about every time you leave the house, but you're wondering about somebody that seems to interest you in a particular way.
And I'm advising all men, if there's a man picking your wife every morning, stop it.
Anyway.
And I advise women too, if there's a woman that is following your husband every day, stop it.
Let me take this call from Kayode from the UK. Kayode, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes. This is my first time of calling.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Actually, definitely agree with PC, and most importantly, I want to share my own personal experience, basically, because I used to pick up a lady, and after like about 3-4 months, because closeness, I ended up talking too much about my personal life to her, and before I knew it, I started having some funny feelings for this lady. And but the good thing was I was able to get my wife quickly. You know, I had to realize that, you know, I have to for the other. So I have to break it up. So the other, I think I definitely have to do that. If you keep doing something for too long, you're spending so much time with the same lady, you spend a word.
Okay, I'm having trouble hearing him. But I think
trying to say that he had someone, like maybe a colleague that over time, because we were talking, he started developing feelings.
Why do you think that men? Why do you think men sleep with their secretaries? Why do you think men sleep with their secretaries?
Some men.
A lot of men sleep with their secretaries. In fact, the secretaries end up marrying a lot of. I know about 3 or 4 men who marry their secretaries. They had wives at home, but they marry their secretaries because of that close proximity. So what I'm saying is close proximity.
Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about the signs. Okay. What signs? Okay, let me let you finish.
Yeah, so you have talked about the secretary. I'm saying that as the wife now, how many of the secretaries, how many of the relationships are you going to police? So now what is happening is when we say that is you're putting whatever now ends up happening between the man and the secretary on the wife. You did not police this thing enough. That is why it happened under your nose.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm just saying that that is what it's, that's how it now interpreted. So women are made to police all relationships that their husband may or may not.
I didn't say police.
No,
I didn't listen. Miriam, listen. No,
you're saying that it's close proximity.
I'm saying yes. So I'm saying that if there is a woman or a man picking your spouse every day,
YK.
Question
secretary doesn't pick you. Secretary is there. Close proximity is.
I just said. No, what I'm saying is secretary. If the secretary and the husband have relationship, that is on the man. You cannot question. You can't be going to sit in your husband's office now. That is obsession. So I get what I'm saying. Where you can police it.
Police
the best you can.
That one that is coming to pick your husband every day.
So you choose when. So you police, you can police, but not everything.
Selective policing.
Now let us come to how do we pick up? What are the signs to know that okay, I think there's an issue here? Because there are women that are watching and they are totally oblivious. They haven't today. They just trust blindly. It is okay. I know there's nothing happening. They just believe that it's all right. But are there signs women can observe today, and even men can observe in their homes? They should begin to suspect. Like this daily pickup or daily bringing food for you.
The first sign.
Yes.
When the woman is too friendly with you. With you, the opposite,
wife.
The wife.
The wife. Okay.
The picker. Who is the woman?
So the girl who is constantly going with my husband now tries to be my friend.
She's too friendly
with me. Hey, that's a good one. I didn't even know that one. Really? So in the opposite sex, if the man who's picking up your wife comes to you and tries to be so close to you, my buddy, could that work for men?
It will work for men, no?
But he's trying to be your buddy.
When you have gone out, it's on your couch.
I think we will end up blocking many people for what they did.
Okay, another thing, another pickup sign. Another sign is when your spouse is constantly talking and say that, even Ronke felt like this. That's the sign. He's constantly referring to Ronke said or Sharon said. Every single time this person is dropping the conversation. Suspicious. Why is this? Well, we always talk about Ronke.
First ask the person, or he starts to be telling you phrases the
person said. Like I just said this. Or
no, he starts even using her phrases. Like let's say she says, you've heard it from her, and then you start hearing from your husband.
Something has happened.
Okay, catchphrases. I love that. So those phrases that that person uses, and not only your husband start using that phrase. You know, they've been talking longer than these are nuggets. But let me come to you. Let me take this call. Hello, are you there? I like that one.
Hello, I'm there.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
You're live. Go ahead, Bisola.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good morning. I'm first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Concerning this issue I'm talking about is what is going on in my family. Like, presently now, my husband don't have a car. And there's this lady that comes to pick my husband. And I even encourage my husband that you can go with her. But I don't see it as a problem or as a threat, because if God provides a car for my husband, it's something I can tell him to also carry somebody. So I don't see it as a threat. And I trust him. If there's anything, he would let me know. I don't see it as a threat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bisola.
Thank you.
So
she doesn't have any jealous streak. So it's good to be like that too.
Yes, it's good.
So
It's good.
So Bisola,
Trust.
God bless you.
We're forgetting that we have different people with different personalities and temperament. Everybody cannot just box into be like this person. It's not easy if it's not from you naturally. But I wanted to say that I think the average woman has been given intuition. You know, there are certain things that you can perceive.
Yes.
There are
Sixth
certain
sense.
energies, yes, that come and you're not just comfortable.
Your spirit just tells you something is wrong. I think once you have that intuition about
somebody who's coming close to your partner, please make sure that you investigate.
Yeah.
You will likely find that you're
So, for example, a Bisola right now has no issues. However, would advise her, keep your sixth sense up. Be open. Just know. Keep your eyes open. Don't just say, I trust and go and sleep. Because things might happen naturally, but then in a year's time, you're thinking of something else.
Women need to also learn to hone in on that sixth sense. Because you do, that sixth sense, it doesn't come... you have to hone into it.
Yes.
It's not there. If you turn a blind eye to it, you will miss it.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, when you said she should turn on her sixth sense, I was going to say this thing just, it comes on. Yeah, it comes on. I mean, it feels like it's constantly on, and then it
Waiting
catches...
to pick up.
Yeah, it's like a radar, and then it catches the signal.
So please...
So maybe for some women it's not, but for me, I really think like I'm a whole ball.
Me, I'm a
of
trusting
intuition.
woman.
So it just
I would have to put it on to catch it.
Right. So we picked up three. I want us to go back to the nuggets. We picked up three nuggets. Nuggets one, Maria.
Okay, I got catchphrases.
Catchphrases from where your husband starts using the same for. Second, the person gets too friendly with you.
Dropping the name.
Yes.
Dropping the person's name in every
in conversation, and then the person gets too friendly with you. Those are three nuggets.
Yeah, that one I don't agree.
Don't worry. So your husband, I'm talking from experience. I'm talking from experience. I'm talking from age.
I do not close my eye to the one that now decides not to talk to me. I'll be like, okay, she's not talking to me. She's not friendly with
why
me.
Why can they say keep your friends closer and your enemies even closer? So she comes closer, you have to know now.
Someone like me
can I just tell you something?
Someone like me, let me just say, someone like me would rather I don't have anything to do with you. So if anything happens, I don't have any reason to feel like I've done anything. Yeah, I don't owe you any friendship. I don't owe you any.
That one, you are not going to the house every day.
Let me take this call, Waika. Let me take the call. Don't forget that example of Waika, because I know you are 16 now. You can forget. Don't forget. Write it down. You see? I'll have a caller. Oluchi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good
You're
morning.
live. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to get through today.
Yes.
You see, I'm very interested in this topic you're discussing this morning because this thing is a big problem in a lot of families. I also have a case like that. Now, my supposed friend, was coming to the house, but at a point, I noticed that she actually had interest in my husband. And when I called my husband's attention to it and said, see, this lady just used me as a ladder to get to you. He said, don't worry. I understand, but you don't worry. But you know that this thing got to an extent that he even stopped eating my food and was not eating the baby's food. So it is a very serious issue. It's a very serious issue. If you're not able to stop it when it's just starting, things will just get very, very obvious. I thank God we were able to resolve it. We are back together. We are living happily now. But some other persons will not be able to handle it, and the marriage will just scatter.
Thank you so much, Oluchi, for sharing this story with us. You see, and that thing, I try not to use myself as an example in so many points, but when you notice these things, nip it in the bud. The whole world will be against you.
Yes.
But that moment, nip, because you know that if I continue this thing, no matter how great the person is, nip it quickly before it goes far.
So now when it comes to nipping it in the bud, like things like it happened with her now, you know, this has to be done by both of them. So someone has to believe it's happening. The other one even has to acknowledge that it has happened and is going there. Because some women will get it. They want to even have the conversation with the men will get it. And you want to have the conversation and it's like, please stop with the nonsense. It's not existing. So you may know it. So that you may know it, you may see it. But if the partner is not willing to acknowledge it or have that
could be a problem.
So what does the woman do or the man do at that point?
There's even a story I heard about.
If the guy is not willing to acknowledge it,
that's a problem.
That's a problem because you know that it's going to happen.
Yes.
Even if he hasn't seen it.
So, okay, can we set a trap for this person? Can you and your husband plan to set a trap where to reveal?
What if the husband is not even looking that way?
Yeah. Okay, I think I don't want to answer you. Good morning, are you there? I think I have Yakub, I believe.
Yeah,
Yakub, is that you?
Yakub.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
I don't mean to call, but I purposely called because of the caller before the last one. That says that her husband does not have a car, and then that somebody has a car, they need your woman that normally give a right to her husband. And then she says that she trusts her husband to that place, Morayo. There is a fire on the mountain. You see, you can say that you trust your husband that nothing will happen. Don't ever doubt the power of a woman. Your husband may not have anything in mind, but if a lady decides to catch your husband, and then there is nothing you can do, don't ever trust anybody in that kind of a station. You can trust your husband, yes. It is good to trust your husband. But to give that kind of atmosphere that somebody came and giving your husband a ride every day, Morayo, hey, don't think twice. You should advise that lady. She should think twice because it is very, very delicate game.
No, thank you very much. There's the other part of food. I know there's a story. There's an older lady that told me a story about her own story. Why are you laughing? I'm so tickled about what I'm hearing. So the lady was telling me, this older woman was telling me that this woman was from a different country, and she was like the head of the caterer. She was a caterer of an office, and her husband used to go to that office because that woman used to serve him specially, and even the food that the woman brings for him, he brings it home. So she used to encourage her husband, that woman, that caterer in that your friend's office, so please tell her to make this. So every time, but she did not know that the woman had the intention of wooing her husband. Eventually, that man married that woman as a second wife.
She knew.
So if she had known, so it's going back to those tentacles. Why would you allow your husband to be bringing food from somebody else? And is it okay for you to allow your husband to bring food for maybe BC can cook groundnut soup now, and she's constantly bringing groundnut soup every weekend because I know my husband likes it. Should I encourage it as a woman? Is it good? Is it healthy? Because hey, she's my girlfriend now. Why can't I do that? I love you, Nicole. I have
an answer. I just don't want to be the one that's always on the contrary, because you're saying that I'm saying that, okay, if she knew then that was what the woman was planning on doing and the husband did not see, it's not on her. You know, we make it sound like all the woman has to do is step in, police it enough, step in enough, and then she stops it. It doesn't always work that way. It needs to be in collaboration and conjunction with the man as well. That says, okay, I see you, and I see that there's danger ahead, and we'll stop it.
But shouldn't you talk to as a woman? Shouldn't you say something?
You can even say it to the man. It's not say it, but then it's not to you.
Sometimes the man might listen.
Yes.
Now, when the man doesn't listen, that's danger.
That's when you go and pray to God.
That help. You have entered the danger zone. Because if the woman does have the intention of stealing your husband, and your husband has decided to be blind, well, like she said, fasting and prayer. Because
so what
is not cooking?
What I advise people to do in such cases where you have a husband who is not even paying attention to you, who believes you have this woman, you have started again, you have started seeing things that are not there, is to make noise about it. So take it serious. I remember in our early days, there was this particular babe that was always calling. My instincts were telling me that this babe wants something else. And I was like, you have started this, your jealousy, you have started. And I kept talking. And when he didn't hear, I told his mom. I said there's this particular, in fact, there was one that babe did. She called on Valentine's Day. I was pregnant for my first baby. We were supposed to go to the market to buy things together. For hours, this lady was on the phone. When he finished, I said, what was she telling you on Valentine's Day that you're supposed to be with your spouse? I am going to tell mommy. So sometimes, you may need to get a little help from, depending on the sort of family that you have. Make noise about, let them know that I have said it, somebody is coming, I've been warning, if it happens, it's on you, I gave you all the signs. And there's a place of prayer too. There's a place of, we can say it doesn't work or it's not realistic.
If you're not religious, become religious.
Whatever you believe in, hold on to your belief. That's and ask the spiritual for help.
Religious. You know, there are some people who don't believe.
It may not even be church. No, it's not about.
No, I'm just matter of church or mosque. I'm saying there's some people
believe in something
who are not spiritual.
Yes, whatever you believe
Become spiritual.
it's time to ask the sovereign to help. This particular matter, I need your help. I need your guidance.
There's also a place for that, especially the men.
But there are some men. Hold on. There are some men who, after you hound them for it, they now start paying attention.
Yes.
Because I remember initially when I make those kind of comments and I say this is happening, I say you have started. When I keep insisting on it, now what is it that you are seeing? Because you don't see it for every other person. What is it? And they just change. So it depends on the situation that you have. There's nothing.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up soon. Yes, Mary, any final words?
It just reminded me. I had a friend that was trying to organize something for Christmas for her friends, and she invited me and my husband. And my husband said he may not be able to go. And then she said she was not comfortable inviting me by myself because of the way I look. And she did not want other people's husbands to feel uncomfortable. And I wondered, how was I supposed to take that? This is supposed to be a very good friend. Do you understand? How was I to? So, how was I supposed to take that? And
was she married? She uninvited you?
Married.
So you're uninvited?
No, I was not uninvited. I was eventually invited. But, for her, those were insecurities that she had concerning
her own husband.
Those are, not her husband. Other people just being in that.
The respect for her, other people's husbands.
Yes.
Come with your spouse.
Respect? Is it insecurity? Is it?
No, it's not. I think it's respect.
I think especially if you're an unmarried woman or you don't have a relationship, I don't think it speaks too well. Where married women will not welcome you into their space.
No, you are married, but you couldn't come with your
No, not your own situation. I'm just saying if you're an unmarried woman and you go into a space where there are married women and there are spouses, the married women are not going to look at you with which kind of woman is this? Want to come and steal our husband?
Coming to fish something.
That's a respectful thing to do.
It's just to stay away.
Especially when you go to all these BB clubs. All these BB clubs where the men will go and gather, some of their wives follow them, some of them go with their girlfriends, and there's always that friction of, why can't you come with your wife? No, because you want to go with your girl. But we have to wrap up. And I want us to give an advice to maybe people out there right now where this issue of jealousy is turning into obsession. And I want us to go back to the initial question. Where do you draw the line? What are the things you need to look out for? How do you ensure healthy jealousy doesn't go into obsession? Let me start with BC because I know.
Okay. So for me, I think obsession is plain. You see it immediately you start the relationship. They don't hide it, and after 5 years they bring it out.
It starts from the beginning. The person has a problem with any other person coming around you, and because he has a problem with himself. So you see that, and you can choose to either continue the relationship at your detriment, or you take a walk and find someone else. But when it comes to that bit of jealousy, I think spouses should learn to listen to each other. So if a woman constantly hounds you on everybody, that one is a crazy person. That one is a different case. But if once in a while someone comes up and something touches her, and then she says, I'm really not comfortable about this person, I think it's wise and it's respectful for you to listen to her. Find out what she feels. Find out how both of you can work together and nip it at that time.
So for me, because I'm always an
advocate. Can I just take tweets?
Oh, that's true. We didn't take tweets. Go ahead. Mariam, your final words and you can take a tweet.
Okay, so I'm always for, showing kindness, being helpful to people. And I understand that people like that also can easily be, they can easily be taken advantage of. And so someone who has a spouse who can be very caring and helpful can have someone that will take advantage of the kindness. And usually people like that do not get to see it. So I think this conversation is just saying, open your eyes that not everyone is there to just accept your kindness for that sake, but trying to spoil what you
have. So I'll take some tweets. Monachi wonder. So far, the husband doesn't like it when she doesn't. If the other doesn't like it, then they should please stop. And they tend to make people have different speculations about them. Husband scares. I don't understand. Prince Chris, it simply means he's talking about yesterday's show. And how will a married woman allow a male-framed colleague to, so to say, to pick her and drop her at home? Even if they are concubines, must they show it to the whole world?
We have to run. We're running out of time. Your final words have to run. Your final words.
Shine your eye.
The heart of man is desperately wicked.
I would say my own final words. But see, obsession is it's not about you, it's about the person. The person has insecurity issues. So if you're in a spouse, if that person is your spouse, be understanding that obviously your spouse has that insecurity. Don't create the atmosphere to ignite that obsession. Don't create that avenue where it can be able to build on that obsession. if jealousy is like primary school, obsession is like is like PhD. So try really hard to manage yourself.
Sometimes it can lead to murder. So
obsession, just run away.
I like how
that's all we can take. Yeah.
Okay, so someone says there are so many angles to this jealousy topic being discussed on Your View, and the other person says exactly, but trust must have been broken for this to spring up. And another person says not necessarily a broken trust. We are wired differently. Some people are naturally jealous, and they mean no harm. Right. It is just
we have to run. Unfortunately, that's all we can take on the show. We've done 2 hours. We have to run. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
I will tell you the story.